Today, I'm taking you on a walking tour through every Game of Thrones filming location here in Dubrovnik. From the super well-known spots to some of the more obscure ones you might have missed. I'm walking the whole thing like a budget-friendly tour guide, and I'll be putting the exact coordinates on screen so you don't get lost like Arya in Season 2. So let's get started here at King's Landing's unofficial backyard, Braddock Park. In Season 4, Episode 2, Braddock Park was the filming location for the infamous Purple Wedding. Check out the round pond. This is the fountain behind Tyrion and Podrick in this scene. Just over to the right, you can see where the stone stairs and the path meet. This is the exact spot where Olenna and Tywin are discussing the wedding costs in this clip. Right where this grass patch is, that's where Joffrey's head table was during the wedding scene. A bit of CGI helped bring it all to life. Now we're heading to our next stop, Dubrovnik's West Harbour, better known to Game of Thrones fans as Blackwater Bay. This iconic location was brought to life with the help of CGI, adding props like ships to complete the fantasy setting. In Season 3, Episode 1, this very pier was where Sansa and Shae played a game of guessing the cargo and destinations of passing ships. And in the same scene where Littlefinger approaches Sansa with a plan to help her escape. And in Season 8, Episode 6, this location appears again in a powerful moment where Jon Snow says his final goodbyes to Sansa, Arya and Bran. Cue the emotional music. If you look just right off the pier, you'll notice two doors built into the rock face. This exact spot was used in Game of Thrones Season 2 Episode 1. It's a super quick scene, only about 10 seconds, where guards are sent out under a royal order to hunt down and kill all of Robert Baratheon's illegitimate children. It's dark, it's brutal, and it was filmed right here. Next stop, Fort Lovrianic. Get ready for a bit of a climb. It's about 208 steps to the top. Now here's a tip to save time and money. Grab yourself a Dubrovnik pass. It gets you entry to the fort, Dubrovnik's famous city walls, Rector's Palace, free bus travel on local buses, and gives you 30% off the boat ride to Lokrum Island. Pricing is €40 for a 1-day pass, €50 for a 3-day pass, and €60 for a 7-day pass, all per person. You can find it all at www.dubrovnikpass.com. I will put the link in the description below. Here in this fort, known to Game of Thrones fans as the Red Keep, was the filming location for 6 different scenes from the show. As you first walk into the fort, you'll recognise this arched passageway. This is where Littlefinger is walking when Cersei and her guards come around the corner and spot him. She calls out to him and a conversation begins. They then continue into the central courtyard, the setting for one of Cersei's memorable lines, "Power is power."
Power is power.
This very courtyard is also where Cersei tasks Littlefinger with uncovering information about the Tyrells. You'll see him walking down these stairs to meet her, with a touch of CGI added for the final effect. This lower area is also where Tyrion famously slapped Joffrey, a moment fans will never forget. Now, heading to the far end of the fort, this passageway was used during the chaos of King's Landing's riot, where the Hound rescued Sansa from the angry mob. From this same end, if you look up, this is where the dead body fell during Joffrey's name day celebration. I've added some CGI footage here so you can see the difference between the raw location and the final scene. To explore more of Joffrey's name day scenes, let's head upstairs. Right here is where the Hound's fight scene took place. The footage was mirrored in the final cut. You can see how it was flipped in this clip. If we look over here at these stairs, this is where Sodontus comes down during Joffrey's name day celebration. Joffrey was all set to have him executed by force feeding him wine until suffocation. But Sansa steps in and convinces him to spare Dontus's life, so instead Joffrey decides to make him a fool. And to wrap up this location, after the Battle of Blackwater Bay, Tyrion, Bronn and Podrick walked these very paths checking out damage done to King's Landing. Next stop, Boca Beach. To get there we need to head back down the 208 steps, which will take us back to the pier. Once we're at the pier, look to the left side. Right next to these steps, there's a narrow path that runs along the base of the stone wall. We're going to follow this path all the way to the beach. This is the same path Jon Snow walked as he approached Sansa, Arya and Bran just before he said his goodbyes in Season 8, Episode 6. Now we are at Boca Beach. This is where Cersei waved goodbye to Marcella as she left for Dawn. I've added a CGI breakdown so you can see the changes to the location. This exact spot was also used when Marcella's body was brought back by Jaime, while Cersei watched on in silence. The wall where these scenes were filmed is currently under construction, and when talking to one of the local kayak guides, the original stairs have been moved to a slightly different location by the construction crew. On to our next location. It's about a 3-minute walk from here. We're heading back along the path at the base of the stone wall. Once you reach the end, turn right and head up these stairs. Follow the route, and along the way you'll spot this fountain. The water in this fountain is safe to drink. You can drink from this one and also the main fountain inside the city walls, which I'll show you later. Keep going until we reach Peeler Gate, our next Game of Thrones filming location. The first scene shot here was just inside the gate when Jaime and Brienne returned to King's Landing. Now, if you look just down the slope, you'll see a small doorway in the corner. That's where Sansa ran during the riot scene when she was chased by the angry mob. It's currently shut due to construction on the other side. And if we turn, over here is where one of the crowd threw a cow pie at Joffrey. I've added some CGI so you can get some context. As we keep going, our next stop is the city walls. Just head down this slope and go through the entrance here. As soon as you're through, look to your left. That's the entrance to the city walls. And don't forget, if you've got a Dubrovnik pass, you can use it here for entry. And like I mentioned earlier, right across from the entrance is the main fountain with drinkable water. Perfect spot to fill up before the climb. Let's get going. Time to tackle these many stairs and begin the 1.2 mile or 2 kilometre walk around Dubrovnik's city walls. The full walk took about an hour and a half, and along the way we will see 11 different Game of Thrones filming locations. Almost as soon as you reach the top of the stairs, look over the wall and you'll spot this curved section. This is where Tommen had that quiet moment with Cersei, suggesting she return to Casterly Rock. If you look just a bit further out at this grassy area, 2 different scenes were filmed here. The first is where Sir Gregor, the Mountain, is training, and Cersei arrives to welcome him. And the second is the scene where Sir Loras gets arrested by the Sparrows. Next up on our journey, Fort Boker. 3 iconic scenes from Game of Thrones were filmed here. The first scene was the moment when Tyrion and Varys discuss Stannis Baratheon's approach to King's Landing. They also touch on the rise of Daenerys and her baby dragons. I've added some CGI overlays so you can see how the location was transformed on screen. The second scene is where Cersei watched Euron Greyjoy's fleet arrive after she invited him to join her cause. And the third scene, when Qyburn delivers chilling news to Cersei that the dead have broken through the wall. Now, from here we continue about a third of the way around the wall to reach our next location. On the way there's a small cafe, the only one on the wall, so if you need a quick break or refreshments, this is your chance to grab something before you move on. Now, let's fast forward to these stairs. Just up to the right is the next filming location. A short scene where Jon Snow stands overlooking the harbour. during the last episode. Moving on, when you reach this part of the wall, this location here is where Shae watched over King's Landing from her balcony. And just a stone's throw away is Minster Tower, a key filming spot with 3 scenes. First, if you look at the entrance, this is where Jon Snow walks down from in the final episode. Second, let's look at a lesser known scene. If we climb up the stairs and look out over Dubrovnik from just inside the entrance, this is where the guards are seen holding Gendry's master's head over the fire, trying to get information on Gendry's whereabouts. And third, probably the most iconic scene, is where Daenerys is walking around the House of the Undying, searching for her stolen dragons. I've added some CGI overlays here so you can really see the transformation. And that wraps up all the locations along the city wall. We'll walk a bit further and head back down using the same stairs we came up. Hope you've enjoyed the incredible views along the journey of the wall. Once we head back down the stairs and exit the city wall, we'll follow the path around the fountain to the right. You'll spot some Hard Rock Cafe tables and chairs. Head in that direction, then take a left onto Ul Od Pucha. Keep walking straight up this street until you reach the 6th right. Turn there and head up the stairs. Yes, lots of stairs. Until we arrive at our next filming location, Rupee Museum. But for Game of Thrones fans, this spot is better known as Littlefinger's Brothel. Two key scenes were shot here. The first, when Lancel and the Sparrows strip the High Septon of his robes and shame him through the streets as a sinner. And the second, when Tyrion and Oberyn leave the brothel. Tyrion asks why Oberyn came to King's Landing, and Oberyn tells the unsettling story of Gregor the Mountain, warning that the Lannisters aren't the only ones to pay their debts. If you have a Dubrovnik pass, you can actually go inside the Rupee Museum, but just be careful with them steps. Now, just over there across the way is our next location, where Lancel and the Sparrows confront Littlefinger about his brothel, warning him they've driven out the godless. From here we move on again. Head back towards the Rupee Museum, then turn left and continue up the stairs until you can't go any further. Take another left and you'll be walking in the exact path where Cersei was carried in her sedan chair to meet the High Sparrow for the very first time. If you look right at this entrance, go in and up the stairs. Look left and this is where the High Sparrow is seen feeding the poor. You can spot this distinctive curved stairway in the background of the scene. On to our next location. We're heading back the way we came, towards the Lancel and Littlefinger scene near the Rupee Museum. Head down the stairs, take a right, and this time keep walking straight past that location. Keep walking straight. It will take a few minutes until we see this archway on our right. Go under the arch, and just on the other side is the next stop. One of the key spots from Cersei's Walk of Shame. As you can see from the clip, she walks down these stairs and continues towards the archway. There are actually 5 different locations used for the Walk of Shame around Old Town Dubrovnik, and we'll be stopping at all of them throughout our journey. Next up, the most iconic spot, the Jesuit Stairs. Head back under the arch, turn right, and walk straight until you reach the famous staircase. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's the Great Sept of Baelor? Of course, the Sept was added with CGI. Here's a quick overlay to show the real location and how it looked in the show. There's a free Shame Bell app you can download. Shake your phone to ring the bell and tap the screen for the Shame voice.
Shame!
Perfect for reliving the moment.
Shame!
At the top of the stairs, we get a perfect view for comparing the actual site with the CGI scene. Lena Headey used a body double for these scenes. Her facial expressions were combined with actress Rebecca Van Cleve's nude performance, using visual effects to make it look seamless. This spot was also used in 3 other scenes. We had Tywin's funeral, Tommen trying to speak to the High Sparrow, and at the bottom of the stairs we had Olenna receiving a letter from Littlefinger. On to our next location. From the top of Jesuit Stairs, head across the courtyard to this corner. Go down the pathway, turn right, and head up the stairs. Turn right again and aim for the building with the terracotta roof. We've now arrived at another filming location. This area was featured in 2 scenes. It was the second part of Cersei's Walk of Shame, and during the rise of the Faith Militant, this street transformed into chaos as the Sparrows stormed through taverns and brothels and smashing idols of other religions. Now, let's backtrack to the Jesuit Stairs. Head down the stairs about halfway and take a right into this narrow street. This street was used for a brief scene in Sansa's escape after the infamous Purple Wedding. Keep walking straight through the archway. Once we are through the archway, head towards the blue door. Turn right and follow the left side of the cathedral, and then turn left to reach Rector's Palace. You can use your Dubrovnik pass to enter. While you can get a glimpse of the filming spot from the entrance, to really see it, you'll want to go inside. This was used as the Spice King's mansion in Karth. It's here that Daenerys pleads for ships to cross the narrow sea. But the second richest man in Karth, the Spice King, coldly refuses. Now, let's head to our next location. Exit Rector's Palace, turn right and look up to your left at St Blaise's Church. This next spot wasn't used directly in the show, but inspired the set builds in Northern Ireland. Here, despite the ringing of the bells signalling the Lannisters' surrender, Daenerys chose not to show mercy. Consumed by rage, she flew on Drogon, burning everything in sight, buildings, soldiers, and innocent civilians alike. We keep going in this direction, which brings us to Sponza Palace. Now, again, this wasn't used directly in filming. It was recreated on a filming set in Northern Ireland, but the design was inspired by this exact location. Here's a clip of the filming set in Northern Ireland. This is where Daenerys' army confronts the Lannister forces, who eventually surrender. And where Arya and the Hound sneak their way through the streets towards the Red Keep. Moving on, head under the archway beneath the bell tower and follow the path left. Continue until you reach this staircase, another key filming location. This staircase appears in another segment of Cersei's Walk of Shame through King's Landing. Just a few steps further brings us to the Dominican Monastery steps. This is where the public protest erupts against the Lannisters. Tyrion and Bronn pass through as a speaker riles up the crowd, calling Joffrey a monster and labelling Tyrion a demon monkey. Keep climbing up the street to our next stop. Right here, Tyrion confronts Lancel inside his carriage, grilling him about the wildfire beneath the city. If we continue through the gateway and just on the other side, this is the iconic location where the Walk of Shame concludes, marking the end of Cersei's grueling journey. Here's a look at the scene with CGI overlays to show how it all came together. Let's head to our next location. Keep walking towards Close Gate. You'll spot a line of taxis here. Now, the next location is about a 30-minute walk, but I actually took an Uber instead. It was faster and cheaper than the taxis at €6.04 for a 6-minute ride. Fast forward to our drop-off point, right by the Church of St James. Walk down the side of the church and follow the path, first to the right, then to the left, and just keep going until you see this St Jacob Beach sign. Head down these stairs to reach the beach. Walk past the cafe and follow the path that runs along the waterfront. When you reach this set of stairs, climb all the way up, and here we are, Hotel Belvedere, an abandoned hotel and a legendary Game of Thrones filming location. This is where the intense trial by combat scene was shot, when the Mountain brutally defeats Prince Oberyn during Tyrion's trial, an unforgettable moment for any fan. Here are some CGI overlays so you can see how it came together. St Jacob Beach is also a beautiful beach if you want to relax here for a bit, but let's keep moving. We head back the same way, either on foot or with another quick Uber, and we're back at Ploss Gate. Now, re-enter the old town, passing by spots we've already explored, until you reach this entrance right here. Go through this entrance, and just to your right you'll see the Lokrum Ferry ticket office. If you've got a Dubrovnik pass, don't forget you get 30% off ferry tickets. Full price is €27 for adults and €5 for kids aged 5 to 15 for a round trip. Before we hop on the ferry, head towards the pier and look right towards the arches. This is the filming location where Jon Snow walked along the dock looking up at Grey Worm aboard his ship in the final episode. Now we're off to Lokrum Island. About halfway there, look out across the water. You'll see the stunning villa Scheherazade, a luxury mansion that stood in for Illyrium's estate. This is where Varys hid Tyrion in a crate after his dramatic escape from King's Landing for killing his father and Shae. It's a €10,000 a night villa, but luckily the view from the ferry is completely free. We've arrived at Lokrum Island, home to even more Game of Thrones locations. Let's go explore. Now we are on land, let's make our way to the Benedictine Monastery of St Mary of Lokrum Island. Enter through this doorway, walk up the corridor and take a left into this beautiful garden courtyard. From here, continue up the arched walkway until you reach the door in the far corner. Step through and you'll find yourself face to face with the Iron Throne. Yes, the Iron Throne. Take a seat, snap a few photos and explore the Game of Thrones exhibition in this room, featuring behind the scenes clips and stories from the show's production. Next, exit the same way you came in. Turn left, walk up the arched corridor and take a right into the stunning manicured gardens. This location was used in the calf scenes, specifically the garden party hosted by Xaro Zoan Daxos. It's here where the warlock Pyre Pri first invites Daenerys to the mysterious House of the Undying. As you wander through the gardens, follow this path and turn left. Continue walking until you spot this door on your right. Go through, past the cafe and turn right. Then look to your left and you'll see a set of stone stairs. This is our next location. These stairs appear in two scenes. One when Pyre was stealing the dragons and the camera shots look up at the House of the Undying. Here is some CGI overlays. And the second when Daenerys, Jorah and Kavaro approach the House of the Undying. Now continue along the path past the caff tables and chairs. Look to your right and head through this doorway. Just beyond is the location where Daenerys speaks to Jorah about her brother, saying the Dothraki only steal things better men have built. You'll recognise the arched doorways from the background of that moment in this clip. Next, we're off to a spot that's about a 15-minute walk across the island. Let's skip ahead. Welcome to the Path of Paradise. This tranquil trail was used in the scene where Daenerys, Jorah and Kavaro walk towards the House of the Undying. That wraps up all the Game of Thrones spots on Lokrum Island. Let's catch the ferry back to Dubrovnik and head just outside Peeler Gate. From here you've got two options to reach our next filming location. Catch bus route 17 to Bosanka and enjoy a 10-minute walk, or grab an Uber for around €7. Fast forward to this location here, just before you reach the top of Mount Serd. Here is where the King's Road scenes were filmed, when Tyrion, Bronn and Podrick awaited the arrival of Oberyn in King's Landing. And also the scene when Brienne of Tarth begins her journey in finding Sansa and gaining Podrick as her squire. Next, we're heading to King's Landing's stunning gardens, Trsteno Arboretum. You can take bus route 21 to get here, but fair warning, it's a slow ride. I opted for an Uber instead. It took 30 minutes and cost €20.36. Once you arrive, entry tickets are €10 for adults and €7 for children. Keep following this tree-lined pathway until we get to our next location. This is the location where Cersei and Oberyn talk about his 8 daughters, one named Elia after his sister. In the same area, Varys and Olenna have their discussion about Sansa and Littlefinger. Continue down the path and head towards the sea. On this terrace, a few scenes were filmed. Shae tries to get Sansa to eat, but Sansa tells Tyrion she can't sleep or eat after hearing how her brother Robb and mother died at the wedding. Also, Sansa watches as Littlefinger's ship sails away, wishing she was on that ship. And Varys offers Shae a life-changing bag of diamonds in exchange for her leaving King's Landing, which she refuses. Next, head back and take your first right. This path is our next location. Here is where Sansa and Loras walk, recalling the rose from the jousting tournament. Our next scene, Tyrion and Sansa bond over their shared status as outcasts. Tyrion being the imp and Sansa looked down upon as the traitor's daughter. And when Marjorie tries to confront Sansa about her upcoming marriage to Tyrion, calling him handsome, kind and powerful, Keep walking down this path until the next right. Head towards the sea again and you'll reach our next location, where Sansa meets with Marjorie and Olenna. Sansa is asked to tell them about King Joffrey and whether he will be good as a husband to Marjorie. Sansa warns the Tyrells that Joffrey is a monster. And also the scene where Varys and Olenna discuss Sansa, saying about Littlefinger's interests in her. Lord Varys warns Olenna just how dangerous Littlefinger really is, both agreeing that Sansa must be protected from Littlefinger. Now, let's head back out from the pavilion and towards the building. Turn right, then left around the side of the building, and you'll spot this chapel. From here, head towards the Neptune fountain, but take this left on the way to the fountain. This is our next location, where Sodontus follows Sansa and thanks her for saving him during Joffrey's name day. As a token, he gives her a family heirloom necklace. Now, let's head to the Neptune fountain itself. Many scenes were filmed here. One where Brienne talks to Marjorie about the shadow with the face of Stannis Baratheon that killed Renly. Another scene of Sansa and Loras having an awkward conversation about marriage. And Oberyn is seen writing a poem before Cersei arrives and offers to show him the gardens. Continue walking along the pond, and just behind the fountain you'll find the aqueduct. Here Cersei and Oberyn walk under the aqueduct, and Cersei making conversation saying, "I didn't realise you was a poet." This spot also hosted Varys telling Olenna he chooses his allies carefully and his enemies even more carefully. Next, we retrace our steps and go back past the chapel and down the side of the building and back to the main walkway. Turn left and walk towards the gate in the distance. Once you reach it, go through and turn right. Head down the stairs all the way to the sea. At the bottom you will see the arched stairway. This is where Cersei asks Oberyn if he will deliver a gift to her daughter Marcella, and shows him across the water to the ship. Oberyn promises he'll have it sent to Sunspear for her. From here, go under the arch and up the stairs. Carry on walking a bit and turn right down these steps. This is where Jaime trains with Bronn, learning to fight with his left hand. Head back to the archway. Look right towards the waterfront. If you can see that small bridge, that is where we are heading next. Keep walking along the road until you walk over the small bridge, and then take the stairs to your right and go down to the bottom. This is where Sansa flees King's Landing after the Purple Wedding, escaping with Sodontus in a boat. On to our next location. Keep walking along the waterfront until you reach this set of gates. continue up the stairway, climb to this spot here, and we are at our next location. This is where Sansa is praying on this large rock, and Marjorie approaches her for a heartfelt conversation. And that wraps up the Game of Thrones adventure at Trsteno Arboretum and Dubrovnik. If you enjoyed this walkthrough of real life Westeros, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe and stay tuned. More Thrones filming locations and travel adventures are coming your way.